In this video, I'll be talking about Awilix, the goddess of the moon from the Mayan pantheon. And in Smite, Awilix is an assassin. So looking at some base statistics here, 475 health plus 77 per level, um, 13 physical protections plus 3 per level, and with 73. She has very high HP 5, so she'll gain a lot of health back. 370 speed, a little bit slower than some assassins, but pretty decent. Um, Basic attack damage 38 plus 2.16 per level. She has an attack speed. She's an attack progression. She one times attack speed 0.75 and 1.25 damage. 1.25% damage, or 1.25 times damage. Sorry, I can't speak. But the attack progression overall pretty good. She'll hit pretty standard, pretty nice attack speed. So her passive is called Initiative. If Awilix is out of combat and attacks and strikes strikes first, she will increase her physical power for a short duration. So that increases 30% for 2.5 seconds. So if you do you can do a lot of bursts in 2.5 seconds, and jumping in from out of combat is right in the assassin's repertoire, and you have to know how to do it. And so, really good passive. Her first ability is called Summon Suku. So now Suku is her pet panther, and this is a very unique mechanic that no other god has. When she summons Suku, she will ride it, and she'll gain movement speed, but she cannot strafe as well. And strafing is moving side to side. So she'll go incredibly slow when she's trying to move side to side, but very fast moving forward. While she's on Suku, she can leap off of the Panther to deal damage to all enemies in the target area, but it will put Suku on cooldown. You can, however, cancel this ability before leaping, and it will not go on cooldown. However, you will consume mana every time you summon Suku, even if you don't jump. So damage 80 to 280, 80% of your physical power with using this. You get 25% movement speed while on Suku. Your strafe penalty is an extra 50%, so really, really slow. Cooldown 15 seconds, cost 50 to 70 mana. Her second ability is called Feather Step, and this is a very interesting ability. So, Awilix will flip over the last enemy she hit within 1.5 seconds, which will root, cripple, and deal damage as she's passing over the enemy. The damage dealt is modified based on the next attack in Awilix's basic attack progression. If the next attack is her third attack, she also hits all targets in the area around her. So, I mentioned the attack progression thing. So the attack progression bonus, if her next attack, if the Feather Step is replacing the first attack in her chain, it will do 1 times its damage. If it would replace the second attack in her chain, it does 1.5 times its damage. If you use it instead of the third attack, which is the 1.25 times damage one in her progression, you will do twice the damage and hit every enemy in a small circle near the enemy you're hitting. So damage 60 to 180 plus 50% of your physical power. The root and cripple duration is 0.6 seconds. It's only as long as you're jumping over them. So this is an interesting ability because it's a leap. It's classified as a leap, even though you're not really moving. So if you are crippled, you cannot use Feather Step. Keep that in mind, and because if you try to use it, it will kill you. Very short cooldown, just 8 seconds. Costs 60 to 80 mana. Her third ability is called Moonlight Charge. Awilix will summon her Panther and will charge forward and damage all enemies. If Suku hits an enemy from the side or behind, the enemies are then knocked up into the air. So it's very specific areas that will knock them up, but it will work if you hit an enemy in that area. So then, damage 90 to 250 plus 60% of your physical power. Cooldown 12 seconds. Costs 85 mana. Suku has a pretty long range, but it moves kind of fast. He used to move really slow. They buffed it because it wasn't really doing its job very well. So, you may be wondering why the specificness was Moonlight Charge. Well, that comes down to how her ultimate works, Gravity Surge. Awilix will call upon the power of the moon and pulls the closest god to her that is leaping or knocked up into the air. So, This ability is very unique and is the first of its kind in Smite, where it only works on gods who are in the air currently from a leap or a or being knocked up into the air. So that's where Moonlight Charge's knockup comes in. When you knock someone up in the air, they are a prime target for Gravity Surge. So when Awilix pulls the god and the enemy god, they'll land and be stunned, and she is then bathed in moonlight, gaining bonus attack speed and extra physical power. So then Gravity Surge's damage by itself is 200 to 400 with 80% of their physical power, and the buff it gives attack speed 40 to 70% and physical power 20 to 60 physical power. So now cooldown, 90-second cooldown, 100 mana to use this. Very powerful ultimate, but only working on the knockups makes it very situational. I'll go into that. So now leveling order with Awilix. She's a jungler by nature. That is her only good role. She's not really good at any other roles, so you need to keep that in mind. So with Feather, your first ability that you want to take is Feather Step. This is your best jungle clear. If you hit the big jungle camp twice with your spear and then Feather Step, and you'll do a lot of damage to everything, and then you'll have really good clear. The second ability you want to take is the Moonlight Charge. And this is good because since you have to go to the solo lane, you do have to help your solo laner clear a little bit for the first few levels. So getting Moonlight Charge allows you to help them with that without putting yourself in too much danger to enemy fire and minions. So then, third, you definitely want Feather Step. This is the point where you gotta be heading back into the jungle to keep farming. Jungle is all about farm and getting ahead and getting big and getting a lot of items, because most junglers are very mid or late game centric characters. So you have to be keeping that in mind. So level 3, you definitely want Feather Step. If you got killed in the solo lane or early on, you want to take Suku, because you definitely need Feather Step. You don't want to take Suku. Sorry, you need this Feather Step in order to clear a bit more effectively. So you definitely want that. Fourth, you take Summon Suku. You get to move around the jungle significantly faster, and you're gonna be doing a lot. You got to be able to move through the jungle very quickly. It's not really used for damage at this point. It's more so that you can move quickly through the jungle, farm more effectively, and rotate more effectively. So then, at level 5, you take Gravity Surge. This is where your kill potential really shines, and the only issue with Awilix is that she doesn't work on every team comp. If you pick Awilix, you have to make sure that you have another god that can knock up. Some notable gods are Bacchus with his belly flop. I'll get into him soon. He's actually, I think, if not the next god, the two gods after the second god after this. His belly flop knocks all the targets, everyone he hits up. Hercules is really good with her because of one of his abilities knocks people up. You just have to keep in mind where you're picking Awilix and what gods you have on your team with her, because she doesn't do a whole lot if she doesn't have other setup. She can't just rely on Moonlight Charge. Level 6, level 7, Feather Step. Level 8, I'd say Moonlight Charge, just so that you get a little bit of extra damage and more burst. Summon Suku isn't really worth picking up, and especially because of the mana cost increase, you might as well have the escape be less cost at any time in this game, because mobility is so important. And since Summon Suku isn't really used for damage that much, you definitely don't want it costing too much mana. So then, Moonlight Charge at level 8, level 9, Gravity Surge, level 10, Finishing Feather Step, level 11, Moonlight Charge, level 12, Moonlight Charge, and then level 13, Gravity Surge, level 14, Moonlight Charge, and then you just keep leveling up Suku and the Gravity Surge whenever possible until you hit level 20. That is leveling. It's very simple. Another one of those gods that has... Awilix is more of a one-trick pony where she's looking to Feather Step you or knock you up into Gravity Surge into the Feather Step. Feather Step is also a really good setup because when she leaps over an enemy, she can land behind them, and if you time it right, you can gravity surge and knock someone up right into the gravity. You can moonlight charge someone, knock them up, and then immediately gravity surge them back to you, dealing tremendous damage and hurting them quite a bit. So now moving into builds. So as I mentioned earlier, Awilix is purely a jungler, so you need Bumba's Mask. Hand of the Gods 1, Boots 1. Now the Boots 1 is important with her because Awilix is very movement based. So she needs to be able to move quickly and get those feather steps set up, so she needs the boots. Then you take a health potion and a mana potion just so that you don't run out. You want to build those boots into a warrior tabi. Awilix doesn't really do well with attack speed and does really well with damage, so you need damage. Then you want to work on this item, Jotun's Wrath. And what Jotun's Wrath does for you is it gives you 40 physical power, 25% cooldown reduction, 11 physical penetration, 150 mana. So this really gives you everything that you're gonna need as a ability centric assassin. So it's a really good item. Third item, this is where you want to go. Shifter Shield. Shifter Shield, another 40 damage item, gives you a little bit of magical and physical protection, makes you a little bit tankier. Its passive is very good. When you're above 50% health, it'll give you 20 physical power. When you're below it, it'll give you 20 to each protection. So it's very based off your how much health you have remaining. If you're low, it'll give you protections to keep you alive. If you have max health or above half, you will gain power to hurt your enemies more. So those are your core items. Other items for damage, you can go into the Titan's Bane if they have a lot of physical defense. It shreds through physical defense, 30 physical power, and you will ignore 33% of the opponent's physical protections. You can go into Rage and Deathbringer or Deathbringer and Malice. At this point, you will have sold your Bumba's Mask so that you have the 6 item slot open. Bumba's Mask isn't really good late game. It's really good early game, though. So at this point, you'll have finished out your build. If you're getting hurt, if you're getting killed a lot or CC'd a lot at least, you need Magi's Blessing. The best item to pass up for this is Rage. Deathbringer is offering you 50 damage, so you don't want to ignore that. But Rage can be ignored if you're not ahead or you're getting CC'd too much and it's being annoying. You definitely want Magi's at that point. So actives, since you buy Hand of the Gods, you need Fist of the Gods, just for a stun. If you feel the need to, you can get Hand of the Gods 3, but I would definitely recommend having a Fist for the extra stun, especially since you have very little CC in your kit to begin with. You also definitely need Purification Beads. Beads is so good for any assassin, and especially since part of its effect is to lower your all your cooldowns by 3 seconds. So you definitely want this active at all times, especially since CC is such a bummer. So yeah. So going into skins, this is the standard Awilix skin. Her recolored Blood Moon makes her Panther into a Jaguar, which can be thought of as a reference to another Mayan god, Shock. One of his "You Rock" line is "You move like a jaguar." So it's pretty nice. So it's pretty clever if they meant to do that.